October 21st, 1805. 6 in the morning. Off Cape Trafalgar, on the southwestern coast of Spain, Vice Admiral Horatio Nelson stood on the quarterdeck of his flagship, HMS Victory. Telescope in his right hand, his gaze fixed on the horizon. In the distance, he could see them, sail after sail, stretching across the water. The combined fleet of France and Spain, 33 ships of the line, the most formidable naval force in Europe, sent by Napoleon Bonaparte himself. What was passing through Nelson's mind in that moment? The records tell us that on this morning, Nelson turned quietly to his second-in-command and said, "Today is the day we settle this." He was certain. The British fleet numbered 27 ships of the line. The combined fleet stood at 33. By the numbers, the odds were against him, but Nelson already knew how it would end. In conventional naval warfare, opposing fleets lined up side by side and traded broadsides until one could fight no more. The side with more guns won. Simple, predictable, expected. Nelson chose a different way to fight. 2 columns driving perpendicular into the enemy line, slicing through it, splitting it apart. Divide the enemy, create chaos, destroy them piece by piece. The idea of breaking the enemy line was not entirely without precedent, but Nelson pushed it further than anyone had dared. 2 simultaneous columns structured to unleash the full advantage of Britain's highly trained and battle-hardened fleet. This tactic carried enormous risk. The ship at the head of each column would sail directly into the enemy's concentrated fire. There was no escape. Leading the windward column, Nelson himself, aboard HMS Victory. Leading the leeward column, his trusted second, Vice Admiral Collingwood, aboard HMS Royal Sovereign. 2 admirals, 2 columns, 1 charge into the storm. To truly understand what was at stake, we must go back to the ambitions of Napoleon Bonaparte. Summer, 1805. Napoleon had assembled his Grande Armée along the northern coast of France at Boulogne. His objective, cross the English Channel and conquer Britain. But crossing that channel required naval cover, and that control of the seas, France could not seize it. By late August 1805, Napoleon had seen enough. He abandoned the invasion plan and turned his Grande Armée east. The new targets, Austria and Russia. The Battle of Trafalgar, then, came after the invasion scheme had already been set aside. And yet, this battle still carried a decisive meaning all its own. To extinguish, forever, any possibility of a French landing on British soil, and to announce British mastery of the seas to the entire world. Late morning, around 11 o'clock, signal flags rose to the top of Victory's masts. England expects that every man will do his duty. Across the fleet, sailors tore off their hats and erupted in cheers. By all accounts, a surge of emotion swept through every ship in the line. In truth, the signal Nelson had first intended was different. He had planned something personal. Nelson confides that every man will do his duty. But his signals officer stepped forward with a suggestion. "Nelson is not in the vocabulary list, sir, but England is." Nelson considered it and accepted. Then make it England expects. Not the command of one man, the will of a nation. A single change of words, and history was made. Collingwood's leeward column struck the enemy line first. Then came Nelson, driving Victory straight into the gap. On the approach, Victory's angle of attack left her broadside guns with little field of fire. She could not return fire effectively, and the minutes stretched on in brutal silence. The combined fleet's guns roared. Shot after shot slammed into Victory's hull. Her sails were torn to rags. Rigging snapped and crashed to the deck. Splinters of timber flew through the air. More than 50 men fell, dead or wounded. Victory did not slow. She pressed on. And then she broke through. The combined fleet's line was cut in 2. Once that moment arrived, the nature of the battle changed entirely. 33 ships, now leaderless, formation shattered, every captain fighting alone. 27 British ships, superior in discipline, in speed of fire, in the art of working together. The tactics of Nelson and Collingwood were working perfectly. 1:15 in the afternoon. Victory had locked alongside the French ship Redoutable. The fighting was savage, point-blank, relentless. Then Nelson staggered. High in Redoutable's rigging, a marksman had taken aim and pulled the trigger. The ball struck his shoulder and drove into his chest. A mortal wound. Nelson fell to the deck. As sailors rushed to hold him, he spoke. "I am dying, but I wish to hear that we have won before I go." He was carried below, down to the surgeon's quarters. For 3 hours, Nelson lay there, receiving reports as the battle raged above him. The thunder of cannon, the roar of men, fighting and dying overhead. Each time an officer came below with news, Nelson opened his eyes. "Are we winning?" "Yes, Admiral. A decisive victory." At around 4:30, Nelson died, still aboard Victory, still at sea. Above him, scattered fighting would continue into the evening before the outcome was beyond all doubt. His final words were recorded for history. "Thank God I have done my duty." The outcome of the Battle of Trafalgar stands as one of the most one-sided engagements in naval history. 22 ships of the combined fleet, roughly 2/3 of the entire force, were put out of action. Not a single British ship was sunk during the battle itself. The combined fleet's casualties, estimated between 13,000 and 15,000 men. The British, roughly 1,600 to 1,700. But in the immediate aftermath of Victory, a ferocious storm struck the fleet. Most of the captured prizes were lost while under tow. Only 4 were brought back to British shores. Trafalgar was not a clean, triumphant ending. The sea, even after the guns fell silent, remained merciless. When the news of victory reached Britain, the people did not celebrate, they mourned. Britain had won at Trafalgar. But Britain had lost Nelson. Prime Minister William Pitt was recorded as saying, "Europe will be grateful for this victory, but Britain has lost Nelson." The British people would remember him not simply as an admiral, but as a hero for all time. After Trafalgar, the prospect of a large-scale French invasion of Britain vanished completely. Napoleon shifted his strategy against England. He could not defeat Britain at sea, so he would strangle her economy on land. In 1806, he issued the Continental System, attempting to shut British goods out of every port in Europe. But Britain controlled the seas. The blockade failed. British maritime trade continued. Her economic power only grew. After Trafalgar, no nation would ever again seriously challenge British supremacy on the open ocean. The Royal Navy remained the dominant force in every sea it sailed. It guarded trade routes, protected colonies, and extended British economic and political power across the world. This era would come to be known as the Pax Britannica, the British peace. That is not to say there were no wars. There were. The Crimean War and other regional conflicts would follow in the decades ahead. The Pax Britannica describes an era of relative British dominance, a time when Britain led the order of the seas. And one of the foundations of that dominance was laid on October 21, 1805. Trafalgar stands alongside the final defeat of Napoleon in 1815 as one of the defining moments that shaped the international order under British supremacy. In 1843, Nelson's column was completed in London. Trafalgar Square itself was developed in stages during this same era. At the top of that column stands the figure of Vice Admiral Horatio Nelson. To this day, he gazes southwest toward Trafalgar. Nelson died, but what he won remained. The safety of Britain, dominion over the seas, and the memory that one man's choices can change the course of history. What Trafalgar left to the ages was not victory alone. Nelson showed the world 3 things. Tactical brilliance can overcome the weight of numbers. A great leader shoulders the greatest risks himself. And the willingness to listen, to accept a suggestion from those beneath you, can sometimes forge words that echo through centuries. England Expects was born from a single line spoken by a signals officer. Nelson heard it, and he accepted it. He chose the will of his nation over his own name. And he placed his flagship at the most dangerous point in the line. He sailed into the fire, and he paid for it with his life. But his example gave courage to every man in that fleet and moved history forward. What is leadership? Trafalgar offers one answer. Now, I want to ask you something. History only records the outcomes, but the people who lived through it never knew how it would end. The accounts of those who were there and the records left by those who came after all tell us that Nelson chose again and again to stand at the front, knowing full well the danger. And still, he led from the front. If you had been standing on the quarterdeck of HMS Victory that morning, could you have done the same? And when the moment comes in your own life, when stepping forward means accepting a risk you cannot escape, what will move you to act? Share your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you. Thank you for being here until the very end, I mean that. On this channel, we keep returning to moments like Trafalgar, moments where a single decision bent the arc of history. Heroes and the defeated alike were, in the end, only human. That truth is what we'll keep telling. If this journey means something to you, subscribe and turn on the bell so you're there for every story we tell. Until next time.